Fire and Blood delves into the deep detail of the events of the Targaryen rule of Westeros, but even so, there are still a lot of mysteries and questions with no explicit answers, where you need to read between the lines to discover the truth. One of these situations is the fate of the dragon seed, Nettles. First, a bit of context. Rhaenyra, having lost faith in the dragon seeds after the betrayal of Hugh the Hammer and Off-White at Tumbleton, wanted the head of Nettles, who was hunting Aemon One-Eye in the Riverlands with Daemon Targaryen. There is also the point in Nettles' case that Rhaenyra had become jealous of the dragon seed's rumoured affair with Daemon. This is an important factor in one of the theories of her fate. Regardless, Daemon helps the young woman escape Maidenpool on the back of her dragon, where she is last seen flying off, never to be seen again. The events of the battle above the God's Eye and the death of Daemon and Aemon directly follow on from this. One of the first questions I had after reading this part in Fire and Blood is what happened to Nettles, and more intriguingly, what happened to her dragon, as both seemingly fall off the face of Westeros, and it would be very hard to keep a dragon such as Sheepstealer safe. Within the text itself, we are presented with one outcome, the idea that Daemon in fact survived the battle above the God's Eye, although obviously he would be badly wounded from the fall from such a great height. He would have pulled himself up the lakeshore to recover and find his dragonseed girl, with whom he had sent to a safe location with the intention of finding her after dealing with Aemon. I think it's put best in the text that, while this would make a good song for singers, in reality it did not happen this way. There was very little chance Daemon could have survived the impact from the fall, and even if he did, it would have left him badly hurt. How would he manage to swim out of the lake and then travel and find Nettles without the aid of his now dead dragon? I think the text makes it clear that he went to Harrenhal with the intention of not making it out the battle alive. The fact he did not chain himself to his dragon and leapt across to attack Aemon speaks to this. He wanted to take Aemon and Vhagar out of the war, and was willing to sacrifice his own life to do so. I think a lot of this stems from him finally seeing Rhaenyra start to crack, and him start to question what it is he's exactly fighting for. So while it does make a good story, it does not reflect reality. Daemon died in a way fitting of his character at the God's Eye. When I was doing research for this video, I did stumble across an idea in a Reddit thread that suggests that Sheepstealer ended up all the way in the Red Waste in Essos, and it was his bones that Daenerys' blood rider, Vakaro, found in the Red Wastes during a clash of kings. While it is possible Sheepstealer could have made it that far, and would explain why he never showed up again in history, there was no way of really connecting the two for certain, and there is very little evidence for it. The bones found are most likely that of some random Valyrian dragon who died centuries ago, probably long before even Aegon's conquests, during the height of the Valyrian Empire. What I think is the truth, and I think what a lot of fans have accepted to be the truth, can be found in two places, Fire and Blood and the World of Ice and Fire. In Fire and Blood, Nettles' escape from Maidenpool is described as followed. Caraxes raised his head and gave a scream that shattered every window in Jonquil's tower. High above the town, Nettles turned her dragon towards the Bay of Crabs, and vanished in the morning mist, never to be seen again, at court or castle. The key part of that passage is the direction of her travel. She turns Sheepstealer towards the Bay of Crabs. Now, hold on to that thought for a moment. In the World of Ice and Fire, during the section about the mountain clans of the Vale, we are told that the Burned Men are an offshoot of the Painted Dogs, that the split vaguely occurred in the years after the Dance of the Dragons. It is said that they worshipped a fire witch that appeared in the mountains. They would send their young boys to bring her gifts and risk the flames of the dragon she commanded. When you look at the timeline, Nettles' direction of travel after leaving Maidenpool, the fact the mountains would be a perfect place for hiding a dragon, and finally, that the mountains of the Vale are famous for their abundance of sheep, Sheepstealer's meal of choice, it all fits well, and I think given the evidence, it is fair to conclude that this fire witch is Nettles, that she hid in the mountains of the Vale after the Dance of the Dragons. Now, it is possible she did not stay there. Once things had died down and the war was well and truly over, and the people who wanted her dead were also dead, she could have gone off on an adventure. But for me, the fact there is no more reports of Nettles or of her dragon other than the fire witch in the Vale suggests that she stayed there. There is a theory I've seen on Reddit that also suggests the reason she stayed hidden after fleeing was because she was pregnant with Daemon's child, and she knew if she was discovered, it could put her child in danger. Whilst this theory would explain why she never appeared again, there isn't really any tangible evidence or hints in the text that would back this up. It is not impossible, given Nettles and Daemon's relationship, but in terms of the books, there is nothing I can really find that would suggest this or prove it. This is something that we could see in House of the Dragon get proven or denied, a bit like the whole concept of Jane Westerling being pregnant in the books. So what do you think the fate of Nettles is? Do you think she's the Fire Witch? Or do you have your own ideas? What do you think happened to her after history loses her trail? I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments. If you want to learn more about the background of this theory, and some of the smaller ones I've mentioned, I've linked some of the interesting Reddit threads I've found that discusses this in the video description.